Thank you so much for joining me. And so we are going to have a conversation about creativity. And this is the Artsy Bunch. So we are an Artsy Bunch, and I was just thinking to start some conversations here and bring in other artists. Carmen Davailus is an amazing artist, and we met some time ago through Instagram.
Right?
Yeah, so actually, Instagram works. It brings people together. It's not just algorithms and bots, there are real people. And
Mhm.
so we are real people, we are real artists and creators. And so, Carmen, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. And I have to say, I am such a fangirl of yours. And
Oh,
I'm so delighted to follow you on Instagram. And you're always so kind and generous with your comments. And it's really inspiring, to talk about Instagram. I know, like social media sometimes gets a bad rap and things, but the comments received, especially from such wonderful artists, for me was just like, okay, okay, keep going. I'm on the right track, right?
yeah, we can
And
do this.
I do art to please because I love it. It's I for me, right? But when other people love it too, it's just such a wonderful boost.
Yeah, so there's really something about art has always inspired me on my journey. And when I look at art, not all art, but there's art that is speaking to me in very specific ways. And so you are an amazing photographer, and I love the way you photograph flowers. So will you just for a moment, like, just tell us a little bit about you? When did that start?
Right. Yeah, this is interesting and it's surprising to a lot of people, but I was a musician all through, like in my youth, and even that paid my way through college was music, a scholarship type thing. And however, I was a nurse and then a nurse practitioner for 40 years. Like, and I began like that at 15 and just kept on going. And the creativity side of it, well, first of all, if you would have asked me, Carmen, are you creative? I would have just giggled and gone, no, no, not at all. I'm clinical, but a lot of the problems I solved were creatively solved problems, of course. And looking back now, there's something wonderful about aging that we have this different perspective, right? I think the opportunities of being with people at their most, like their worst days, and also the most joyful days. I think I've attended as many births as I have been present at deaths, believe it or not. It's like, and each are miracles, and I really think it influenced the way that I see life, and the way that I view flowers. To me are a metaphor for life in
Mm.
so many ways. And so I love close up pictures, and I think that is just something I just love to look at. But for me, it's just all
Mm.
connected from those years, and that history and experience. And it's a spiritual experience for me to be with the flowers and with my camera. And I've done enough to technically, I'm not thinking about that so much, and I can just be in that space, which is to me what I need for creativity, is to
Yeah.
um
And
that
I can sense that space that you be with a flower, because it is really the way you capture them. It is very romantic. Your images are exuding beauty, and I'm very susceptible to beauty. When I go to Italy, I'm just like all over the place, and there's such beauty. There's just such finesse, because we can depict something in so many different ways, and nothing is right and nothing is wrong. It is simply that your art is truly speaking to me, and I'm not just saying this. It is really, like, when I was asking you one day, Carmen, would it be okay if I took any of your pictures as a model for a new silk, and you said yes, of course. And of course I would let you know I haven't done that yet, but it is that beautiful that it inspires my creation space. And this is what art is. It is like, it is a visual that we create, and it changes something for the viewer. I even said to you, Carmen, you should have like wedding invitations and wedding like decorations, because they are that beautiful. And you know, I paint flowers also, among other things. But for me, I was just thinking the other day, what is a flower? Why does it trigger me in such a way? And what I found is that a flower is, like, for me, it is like a luxury. It is like, look at, when you go in any castle, what is there always? Big bouquets of flowers. When you go to a fancy reception, what is there always? What is always next to the keynote speaker? It is a flower, because a flower has a scent. It is so sensual, and you capture that sensuality, that sensualness of a flower. And I have no idea how you do it. You have the technology, and it is really speaking to me. And I'm really grateful for you.
Thank you
And
so
your
much.
patience.
I appreciate that. I love the fact that what I'm feeling is, transmitted out there too. And for me, seeing flowers remind us just how fragile life is. I mean, they don't last long, right? They're and you can have a bud and you can have an older flower side by side, but you know what? They're both queens. They're both beauties, and
Yeah.
one's not better than the other or shadowing they're just, and I think, wow, yes. I love that about flowers. And I think too, perhaps it's because I'm kind of coming of age, into that Medicare age and all of that, and that I'm just seeing the value that my history brings. And that, yes, I can stand side by side wonderful creators, and this is a relatively new phase for me, a wonderful wonderful phase. And but I'm feeling like I'm bringing that history too, and we all belong, right? We all belong.
Wow. Yes. This is why I always say, when somebody buys a painting, or a photography, an artwork in general, they are not just buying this thing, this piece, but they are buying an entire part of an artist's journey. Because what led to that moment of painting or photographing or a sculpture is everything that you just mentioned, the whole journey. Like my journey, I was a financial advisor and portfolio manager for many years. I was traveling in Europe. I speak all these languages. And so I have this finance background. And then in 2003, I was actually not doing well physically. I was basically on my way out because I was so unhappy. And I left that world. I left Europe. I took 2 suitcases and came to New York City. And so that all these loops that we jump through, Carmen, like, it is not like things are just like, oh, the clouds are opening and it's all given to us. No, we have to make choices. We have to make tough choices. We have to make a million choices every day. And so that all culminates into the art that we are creating. And it is so beautiful. Had like, did you, like, so you said you had this other part of your life. Did you always know somewhere in your world that you would like to be creative in the artistic sense, or not?
Yeah, so it's a funny thing. I loved what I was doing, but I never felt like it was it for me. Like it was going to be all I did. And I had a list in my drawer of my dream life, that when things were really hard, because it's a hard career, I'll just say, it's just, And I would take a look on particularly on a bad day. It were things like florist, artist. It were like all creative things that I had no idea how to do or how I would get there. But my heart was telling me, don't forget, don't forget. And
Wow.
until one day it literally was like an epiphany. The epiphany was about writing a book, which I went ahead and did, but that just hit me like, you need to tell these stories. You need to stop and tell these stories. And decisions, what the consequences of some are really, really tough. But when you're following your heart really clearly, I'm like, okay, but this is what I need to do.
Wow.
And so yeah, to leave something after so many years and to think, well, this is where I'll retire, and financially and this and that, to say I'm going to take this leap of faith to do something I'd never done before.
Yeah.
That it was it sounded crazy, but I didn't have any, it's like I knew that was what I needed to do.
Well, and I even wonder, for everyone who is watching here and listening in, how many of you are in this very place where you just know with every particle of your being that there is something else for you, and you have no clue what it is exactly. You have no idea how to create this. But there is just this nagging, there is this like a little voice that is even without words, you cannot even hear, but there's this, maybe it's in the heart, this knowing here. And Carmen, it's so beautiful that you say this. The challenges, it was the same for me when I let go of everything. I had no idea, because there was no one in my family who had a journey like this that I could have leaned on a little bit. It was like, no, Bettina, you're here on your own. You have to figure this out.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what, who, where, like how to, like even in a different continent and all that. And that trusting your heart that you just mentioned, Carmen, that I have no idea how. I just know I have to do this and I have to trust it. And
Yeah.
so what happened then when you trusted it? Did it get all worse, worse, worse? Or what happened? Did the universe bring you things or people?
Well, things fell into place, which was
Yeah.
right. I know. And to me, the consequences of not following a dream and not knowing what it was going to look like, the consequences of staying put were so much more painful than anything of following it could have been to me. It was like, okay, once I had the thought, I'm like, I want to do something different. And I wasn't sure what it would look like, but I was really, I like change. I'm one of those strange people. I'm really okay with change. I love just, like I have a plan, but I also am very awake to things landing in my lap, the messages, the gifts that just come my way. I'm like, oh, okay. And I like have an intuitive sense, like I really need to pay attention to that. Because a lot of things will come our way, but not everything is or should be part of the journey or at that time. And knowing when to say yes and when to say no, it was not easy.
Well, yeah, even if we say yes and we find out that it's not what we thought it would be, well, we can always change.
Yeah.
Like swiftly change again, and change, that is the thing. We don't have to follow through to the end or whatever. And wow, this is we have a lot of similar things from our journey, and I'm so grateful for you that you listen to your heart, because look at the art that you are creating. Do you have some pieces here for us?
I do. Well, I have one here
Other than
behind
behind you, yes, that piece.
Yeah, so that one, I have a series called Eterna. Here, I have a smaller one here.
Yeah, show us.
That one's on canvas. This is something we've been working with, and I say we because my wonderful husband makes these frames, and we stain them to highlight the image. But this is printed on wood, and then I will paint over it with some
Hold
gel.
it up a little bit more, move it more to the center so we see the, oh wow, look at this.
So you can kind of see hopefully see the wood grain there.
Yeah.
And also the painted texture.
So you paint then over the print on?
Wow. I do. I do because I loved how it looked. I took a chance one day and I said, I want to add some texture to it. Because you hit on it, in nature, we've got the aromas and what we see, and also the energy, that we're getting from being in nature and from flowers and texture. And the wood did a great job with texture. But I just thought I'm going to try a little bit more. And so I just say this one's artist embellished. And so I practiced and I played with it until I was happy. And I'm always learning. I'm just always learning new things and ways to make it special, even more special, right? So,
wow.
And
And
the
so
Eternus
everyone,
series,
they can find this print in your online gallery.
yes, it's in carmensfineart.com and it's under limited editions.
Wow.
So there's several. This one is one from the Eternus series where I highlight aging flowers, because there's just so much beauty in aging. We have kind of a culture where we want to stay young, stay young. And I'm really embracing 65 and I'm really excited about it. And
so there are so many points of view about aging, and do flowers have a point of view about aging? I want to quickly show one of the prints here. I just want to show everybody who buys a print, they will always be well wrapped, and it's beautiful in the way they are shipped and well protected. So I have here a print on paper of one of my paintings.
And I love that.
There we go.
Yeah.
And so I love painting flowers, as I said already, and there is something about aging. So I do have one iris painting. I grow flowers too, so I had this beautiful chocolate colored iris in my garden, and I took it into the studio because it was too hot. They wilt so fast. And then I painted it in oil, and actually there is a flower on the same stem that is slightly wilting already. The next one is in full bloom, and then I have one on top that is a bud. And I love this so much because what I found with painting flowers, because I really observe, like I look at the shape of the petals, how does that connect to the stem, etc., and the pollen and all that. But what I discovered is the older the flower gets, the more different pigments are in there. They get more saturated all of a sudden. When you look at a rose, and you had this one beautiful rose that I saw on Instagram, and I think you were talking about all the different shades and hues in there, and I saw this deep, if it is a red rose, and I saw these roses already, they get to be burgundy, but when then you look in, it's like a velvety shimmer of pink and orange, and I mean literally they become more beautiful as they age.
Yes, absolutely. And I don't even think I recognized that until I got out and looked really close through my camera. What I see through my lens, see, I get goosebumps just thinking about it. I have goosebumps just thinking about it because it is just so profound. It's really incredible.
Yes, it is. And the way you portray flowers is, if I want to use the word simplicity, it is not in any derogative way, but you actually give the flower the full space, and there's not a lot of stuff going on around it, but it's like the painting behind you, it is a sort of a neutral background, and the color of the background is also very, I always notice your sense of color. It's very contributory to the flower. It brings the flower out. And this is where they really start to shine. A flower in a way is simple, right? It is so simple in its creation and so intricate and so beautiful, that it fascinates. I cannot stop painting flowers. I don't always paint flowers, but they come in easily, even into my abstract work, because they exude beauty. Beauty is always, in a way, simple, right?
Yes. I totally agree. I do mostly have singular focus. One subject is the flower.
Yeah.
Sometimes fields, but
Yeah.
not usually. Sometimes even double exposures. I really go way out on a limb, but it's they speak to me. I think that's why. I'm sorry, I've got a little frog in my throat. I think too, flowers remind us, to stay grounded, grounded in truth, in our truth, and what feeds us, and yet reach for the stars, reach for our source, reach for the light. And they just return every day to do the same. Even if they're a little bit more wilted, they still do the same.
Yes, and they don't try to be like somebody else. Like the sunflower is not trying to compete with the rose, right? And they don't say, "Oh, I feel bad today because look at that rose has this scent this morning. I can never have this scent." Sunflowers have a totally like not really like a pretty like rose scent. So they don't fight each other. They are really there and they shine in their own beauty. And this is such a beautiful metaphor for all of us, and also in the art world. When
Yeah,
we start comparing our art with somebody else's art, we are
yeah,
right there starting to destroy it, right?
right,
And so,
right.
what would you say to people? How can they like how can they get more creative, or like what can they choose? You said okay, you said you made that list that how you would like your life to be, right? You made
Right.
a list.
Yeah. So my list was what I would like to do. And interestingly, I had a day and I just looked in the mirror and I asked myself, what what do you want to do? And what I was really asking, like, what do you want it to feel like is really the question.
Oh my
And
God, you asked the best question in the world.
yeah, what do I want it to feel like? And it made me cry. And I'm looking, it's hard to look at yourself in the mirror anyway. And I'm looking at myself in the mirror and it
Mm.
made me cry because I really hadn't asked myself that before. I knew what I needed to do, or what I'm a parent, I had been and and so I made decisions based on what I needed to do and what I thought was right and what I was told was the right thing to do, where I was influenced. And I came to the point and go, you know what? I want to do what I want to do. And I thought I'd never asked myself that before. And I'm like, well, what do I want it to feel like? And you know what I did was, interestingly, like I was photographing people, and I love portraiture work, but when I needed some peace of mind or to think clear, I'm out in the wildflowers. I'm out in a field, and I'm out looking closely and sitting with the flowers. Only it took me about 3 or 4 years for that to click, that was really where my happy place was. And I joke sometimes, and I'm like, I've never had a flower ask me to look skinnier or younger, or to, you know what I mean? A flower has never asked me to do that. And portraiture work was a lot of boosting because most people don't feel like where they want to be. Like they see their future selves and they're not where they want to be. And like, can you change that for me? Was a question I would get. Can you change my hair color? Can you make my eyes brighter? Can you make me thinner? Can you make, and I would see them as beautiful. I'm like, why? Why? I think you're beautiful. And going into flowers, it kind of taught me that because, I'm there too. And I'm like, wait a second.
I know. I even have I have dried rose heads, right, where the petals are coming off, and I really love that. I love the shape. They are dried now, and the color
Yeah.
is so beautiful. And there's such beauty in every single moment. And it is true, nature is teaching this. And so
Yeah.
for everyone who is watching here, and you are wondering, how can I get more creative? What is the nagging thing in me? Start making a list. What
Mm-hmm.
would you like your life to be like? What would you like it to feel like? What would you like the energy to be like? And really
Mm-hmm.
start making a list, write that down, and you
Right.
can look at it as often as you want and add to it also. When and what I found is also other people inspire that for me. If they have something that I would like to have, I'm always going into, okay, so what is actually that energy there that I'm looking at? And I add this to my list, because guess what? I had a list too, you know, and what would I actually like my life to be like? And eventually we, with that list, actually we are basically talking to the universe and saying, this is what I would like, and then the universe will always bring things to us. They might look totally different, but if there is this energy, because the universe is totally chaotic, it doesn't make sense, but if there's an energy, well, go for it, do it, and you will see where it takes you. It's like going on a river, right? And creativity is a river, you know. I did not know that I would be doing what I'm doing now, like 20 years ago, when I changed my entire life. I had no clue. And it would also, had I known what I would be doing 20 years later, I was so not ready for it. I would have freaked out, you know. So we go as we go.
Yes. And I'm gonna add to your point as far as the list and things. And like the next step, or maybe even the step before that, is nature is very healing. So go walk in nature, walking, leave an agenda behind, and just be. The answers come to you. The more you try, the harder it is. The answers will come to you. And that means giving up a lot of control, which is hard for a lot of people.
Oh, not for us, right?
Right. So, but to say I have, and in fact, that's the way I photograph now. I don't have an agenda. I walk to see where I'm guided. Not all the time. Sometimes I have an agenda. I know what I want to do, but I will just, my happiest times are just going for a walk. And then when I feel guided, I feel like this is what I want to do, that's what I do. I don't judge. I'm not anticipating, is this something I can put on the website? Is this something nope. I'm like, nope. I am just going to play like a child, you know, like I have a granddaughter who's learning to crawl and walk, and you know, she's not thinking, oh my gosh, I fell down once, so I'm not going to crawl again. They just get up and do it again, you know, and just keep going for it. And I've got to think in her mind, she's not saying, I hope today I can crawl 3 times instead of twice, you know. I think she's just doing it. And when we have that childlike play with no agenda, no expectations, we're just playing for the sake of playing, the answers come to us, because it's that subconscious level for us when we get out of the way. That's that's worked for me, and it's not easy, I will just say.
But that to cultivate that, you know, and to go out in nature, absolutely. Or when I'm too much on Instagram or social media or doing all this marketing stuff or working on the website, you know, sometimes it just gets so intense, and then I just drop everything and I go outside, I go on a walk, and it literally changes everything. It just like clean slate after that, you know. And then I can walk in the studio again and be calm and start breathing and relaxing. So do you have more art that you can show us?
I do. I'm surrounded by it in here.
oh, show us the, oh, wow.
So this is actually canvas print, and this is, I call it the magical tulip field. And our botanical garden had just beautiful tulips this year. And so again, my wonderful husband made this frame for me. And I also did the
show us the frame. I want to see the frame from the side and the back. Oh my gosh, look at this. Is this wood?
I mean, it's heavy. It's really nice and heavy, sturdy. And he worked hard to make the colors just what I was looking for. And again, this one too, I did some texture over the top of it just to enhance the canvas.
Yes.
Beautiful. I mean, you know, they come, you know, yourself, from our website and from printers. They do a wonderful job of canvas prints and the wood prints. And The prints, like the gorgeous one you showed, are just wonderful. And then for those who want the little added artist touch, I do the extra little, because I'm not, Bettina, I'm not like, I don't sit down at a blank canvas and start painting yet. Maybe one day. Maybe one day. I play with it because I think trying new things is really good for my creativity, right? And for my photography. But right now, this is as close as an artist touch with painting as I do. And it's a nice touch. And the other thing
to the center, hold it up more to the center so that we can see. Oh, wow, look at this. The colors are just gorgeous.
Thank you. Wow. Yeah.
Very
beautiful. And I have a story for every picture, every image. And what I've been doing for the holidays is when people place an order, so long, it's like for a good size, but actually any order people place, I reach out and say, would you like, is this a gift or is it for you? And would you like a little video, just like a 30 to 60-second video clip from me telling you about this image?
Wow.
So if
that's great.
Yes. If they give a gift to someone, then the artist is telling them, this is what was happening that day. This is the story behind this image. And, I have stories, that.
Yes.
I talk a lot. So I just thought that's easy. And I just think that if we didn't learn anything through COVID, it was the personal connection and touch, how important it is. And so I thought that's an easy thing I can do that I personally would love to connect with others.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Wow, that's a great idea. I'm sure people love this. So everyone go by with Carmen for the holidays and get a personal touch.
A personal touch, yeah.
So here I have one of my latest paintings.
Oh.
Just a small one. I have been diving into these pastel tones, these bright colors lately.
I've noticed that, and I love it.
It is just what I need to do right now. So for me, colors are talking to me. So when I'm painting abstract, it is always color that starts the whole creation. And I learned to sense colors with my body. And I got a really good education in Kandinsky's color theory, so warm and cold color. So I have this natural sense of placing them next to each other. And so this is so cheerful and so unusual, because usually I would bring in depth, but here these are there's an entire series, and I have a big one, and I'm painting another one here. The one here behind me is again in these bright colors, and let's see where I go. I never, as you also talked about point of view, I don't have a point of view that says I have to make more of these. It is all coming naturally, So the colors that want to be out here right now, they are just coming out. And it's always like an abstract landscape and dreamy. And yeah, so I love bringing this energy of joy. What?
Is there a person, almost like a floating person?
Here?
No, and the one that you just had.
Oh.
Yeah,
well, maybe there is one for you.
What's that?
Maybe there is a floating person for you.
It looks like it to me. Yeah. Wow.
This is what happens all the time. People tell me what they see in the paintings. And so I say, cool, it's there for you.
Yeah.
People tell me, well, your paintings move. And I'm like, I'm not surprised. Things move, but it's whatever it is. So it's for me, it's really the happy place to paint. And it literally saved my life when I was in tough spots and found the art school. I also, interesting, your journey with music. My first breakthrough was actually with voice. I'm a singer too. And so I went to the conservatory in Luxembourg and took singing voice lessons, and that was like the one painting, my first painting, and the only painting where I used black, the color black, was the explosion of my heart. And so there's this brightness exploding and the blackness is moving away. And I never painted with black paint ever again. Wow. So It's really this is what I'm saying. It is this journey, and this is also why I love having these conversations here. And my wish and my dream is that it inspires all of you who are watching to not give up on yourself. Please don't give up. It is maybe just not it it is not the moment. Like we all have our windows open at given times, and when the window is open, you will have such a strong energy underneath your wings that one day you will just say, I'm just doing this. And you know what I remember, Carmen, when the Conservatory of Music sort of showed up in my world back then in Luxembourg, I committed. I said, okay, I'm taking singing lessons. The night before my first singing, I mean, it's a singing lesson. It's not that I went on TV. The night before my first singing lesson, I had the most destructive voices in my head. They were nagging, how dare you? Who do you think you are? Things like that. So bad that I ran a bath for myself, and I just took a bath, and I was crying. I was just bawling. I was just all coming out. These voices were coming out, and I just said, I'm not listening to you. I'm not listening to you. So it took me this night to move through that. And I went to the singing lesson, of course, and boom, things opened up for me. And so I want to say, for everyone who's watching here, you might have that too. And Carmen, you mentioned it earlier. It is not easy. It's not like, oh, now all the angels are singing. No, it's not. You have to commit to yourself and walk the walk. And sometimes you will walk through fire, and sometimes you will be carried by invisible wings. And
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to say, can I add a flower metaphor here, Bettina?
Yes, please.
Yes. So I have an older granddaughter also who is, like early teens and kind of frets over, other people are doing this. I'm not quite there yet. That weird age, right? And we were walking in the garden, and I said, see this flower right here? She goes, it looks dead. I'm like, just wait till the fall. That's when this one blooms. These here right now in the spring are flourishing, but this is their time. They won't have their time in the fall. We each have our season. We have many seasons, right? We have many seasons, but just because we are maybe in that growing stage, where maybe our energy is a little tighter, we're like, where are we going to go? What are we going to do? That's a season. That's all.
Yes. And it's the growth. It's like a flower is not like getting really upset, like the tulips in the ground, the bulbs. They don't get upset because I cannot get out yet. I gotta get out. I gotta get out. Well, if they would get out too early, they would freeze. So it is knowing when. And I always say that we all are at the right place right now where we need to be.
Yeah. And trusting that, right?
Isn't it?
Trusting, yeah.
Yeah. And to not make this wrong, but keep walking, keep adding things. Go to Carmen's website at carmensfineart.com, right?
Right.
And look at her work, be inspired. And if you find something, well, what if you get a print or a greeting card? Or you find one of my paintings at bettinamadini.art, and you find a tote bag, or you find a tiny thing. We have Christmas ornaments, and like something that would bring you joy, and like a friend on your journey that you can always look at and like get a little smile on your face and keep walking as a reminder. We all need these seeds, right?
Yeah, seeds is
we play for ourselves.
Yes.
And so art can be that. And so don't throw it out with the bathwater, because both of us, we offer very big, expensive things, and we offer the tiniest things. I mean, a tiny thing. Or we both have beautiful wall calendars where you get like, I don't know, like for something like $35 or so, you get like 13 images, right?
Yes. A whole year's worth. Yes. Well, I say like surround yourself with beauty. Surround yourself with beauty. And it's just that daily reminder, right? That we all need.
We
Our little
all.
reminders, whatever it might be. Stop, take a breath, take it in. Like, okay, I'm just like the tulip. I don't need to hurry up and bloom. Or like, hey, this is my time. I'm going to embrace it, and it's just, yeah.
Yeah. And find your environment, The cactus doesn't want to bloom in the tropics in the jungle, It's like, and the orchid doesn't want to bloom in the midst of December in the Midwest, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it is, we both, obviously, this is what I find is maybe the thread that has been going through our wonderful conversation. We both you like have these metaphors where we learn from nature, we learn from flowers, we paint them, and as we paint or photograph them, we learn about them. It's mind-blowing, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you would like to say,
Yeah,
Carmen?
I say, yes, we learn about them. I learn about myself too. I mean, so each experience, I know you feel that way too. And I can almost watch it in the transition of your work, and when you describe it, because I'm always mesmerized by your posts and what you show. Your artwork just moves me. Obviously, we have some very similar philosophies around that. And, I'm drawn to that. I love it. I have a question for you though, before we go, real quick. Yeah. Do you have any kind of a ritual or anything that you do before you begin to paint?
That's a great question. Well, I used to meditate a lot, like meditate. Now it all changed, and I'm asking a question. I'm going into my studio with curiosity, truly, and like, okay, I'm curious. What color wants to play today with me, and what wants to be painted? Because for me, every painting is a being, it's an energy, it's a space. And which canvas do you want me to use, like a big 64-inch tall canvas or a 12 by 12? And so I go for that, and I really start just breathing. And really, I instantly now, because I'm so used to it, the moment I walk into my studio, I relax already,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that is the space that I have created for myself. Right now, it looks so chaotic. You should see this. There's even my elven head sitting there looking at me. But see, this is like, it's like a kid's playground. And
Right.
create that space for you, everyone who's watching. Create a tiny
Yeah.
space for you. And the
Yeah.
space might be a journal. That's your space. And you start putting glitter in and color and photographs. And so it's not so much a formal ritual. It is more for me, um, tapping into that space, which I can also take it with me. That space goes with me everywhere I go. Might be in a botanical garden, and there it is. And
Mm-hmm.
right,
Yeah. Yeah.
because one thing also, the more we actually do it, the more it will become natural to us. So some I used to, as I said, I used to meditate. And so for some of you, find a ritual. Maybe I have a crystal sitting here, I have a feather sitting here, I have a little angel sitting here. I have
Mm-hmm.
things like a very scary ghost that I made that is here in my studio. And so feathers and right, that
Mm-hmm.
there are things that is me. And what is it that is you?
Mm-hmm.
And it's these little things. It's not a fancy, very expensive. It's like, no, I found it on my trail.
Right. Right. It means something. It's the meaning. Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I love that. I think curiosity and creativity are hand in hand. The more
Doesn't
curious you
curiosity
are.
kill the cat?
I mean, creativity comes back because we're curious. What will this look like? What
Yes.
will this be like? I mean, and we just kind of go from there. It's that
Yeah.
childlike, I think, approach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. That is so important to have a childlike approach where it's like
Yeah.
nonchalant and it's just like, hey, let's do this, you know, and kids
Yeah.
pull things out of thin air. And so this
Yeah.
whole idea of playing is just so beautiful. I have a
Yeah.
quick last question for you. You said you are a musician. So what did you like? Do you play an instrument? Do you
I
sing?
did. I did. I played clarinet. So I was a woodwind. I played woodwinds and I sang some, but I don't know how that ever happened because I can't sing. I'm really not great at singing, but I enjoyed it. But woodwinds. And so I played all through high
Classical or
school.
jazz or what?
I play, you name it, I played it. I think music was my voice. I'm of that time and I'm from the Midwest and all. And I think some of the thought there was you speak when spoken to. If we want your opinion, we'll ask you. And I was very, very shy, believe it or not, very shy. But music was my way of expressing myself. And so I practiced hours every day, such that it helped me to get into college with music. And
Wow,
I needed to
cool.
change my major midway, but it helped pay my way.
Wow.
And I just loved it.
I
And
love
I
to
use
hear that.
music as part of my some of my, I wouldn't say I have a ritual either, but it's part of my happy place is what sounds I have around me. Kind of set the tone. Even if I'm just editing online, I'm listening to something.
Mhm. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, Carmen, thank you so much for the conversation. So for everybody, check out carmensfineart.com, check out bettinamadini.art, follow Carmen on Facebook. We both are on Instagram. You find us there too. And do you have any other places where people can find you?
Those are the big ones. I am starting to do a little bit more behind the scenes and talk
Yeah.
about creativity quite a bit. That's my 2024 goal. So
Yeah.
Facebook and Instagram are my big ones, and I'm dipping my toe into TikTok, but I'm just getting started. So
Yes.
definitely you can visit me there. And I think 2024 is going to be a huge year of transition for me and just opening up and continuing to find my voice. And so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, we always
Yeah.
continue to add things and grow and change things. And what else
Yeah.
can we create, right? That's a
Yes.
big question to ask, by the way. What else can I create? You know, what can I create? What do I know?
Yeah.
And so thank you so much, Carmen. And I wish everybody a wonderful, wonderful day. And we are going to see you somewhere. And there are going to be more lives and sharings. I will post this also on my YouTube channel. And you still find the Monday morning inspiration videos there. So check it out. There's so much that Carmen has to offer, that I have to offer, that can and hopefully will be a contribution to you. So I let you go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.